journalist. In terms of stories on site, it varies. The weekend will be maybe only 4. During the weekday, it'll be 10 to 15. Unsurprisingly, our busy periods are Monday to Friday, and mostly actually Monday to Thursday. So we tend to try and get all the content in then.
What else do the journalists do apart from doing the Caledonian Mercury, and what are their backgrounds?
Well, most of them have work with papers as diverse as the Scotsman, well, not Scotsman actually, Herald, Sunday Herald, Daily Mail, Times, Telegraph, and our health writer does an awful lot of work for health journals. So they're all established people who are doing freelance work with other large news organizations. We have to be very diplomatic as well when we talk about what we do. I made the point, we don't go head-to-head with the Scotsman, we don't go head-to-head with the Herald. Yeah, really we do, but we can't really say that too publicly because we don't want to cause our journalists problems. And for some of them, there has to be very definite agreements with the kind of main income provider about what we do and what we don't do. For instance, on a regular basis, I'll get people saying, look, we've got an exclusive, I've got an exclusive, I can either give it to you or I can sell it to X, Y, or Z. And in those circumstances, I tell them to sell the story and make the money. Paid work comes first, really.
Hello. Just wanted to go back to the issue around how you manage the journalists, your suppliers.
Yes.
And the division of monies, do you do that on a volume sale, how much they're giving to you to then distribute, or is it related to how their stories perform as...
The original plan had been to divvy up in terms of how much advertising revenue this section brought in. The journalists themselves decided just to make it a split between all of them equally until such time as things settle down and it becomes clearer who's getting what. So my plan had to be not to make it based on anything as unsophisticated as page views, but because you can get thousands and thousands and thousands of page views for a story from FARC, but that actually doesn't bring you traffic that's really worth very much. But the journalists themselves just went, nah, let's split it equally.
So it's an actual collective?
Well, yes, certainly that element of the decision making, I left the journalists, but I mean they don't have a share in the company, but obviously they've got an awful lot of power within the company. Any other questions?
A couple of technical ones. One, if you implied that WordPress MU had been something of a burden to use, what would you use? That's one. And the other one was, could you just tell us a little bit more about your mix of traffic sources, where it comes from,
Sure.
in terms of search engines or SM or links and countries?
Sure. I'd use WordPress rather than WordPress MU. WordPress MU is just far too complicated a solution for a problem it turns out we didn't really have. A lot of the plugins that make WordPress very attractive don't work with MU. One of the releases of WordPress that's coming up will meld the two together. But as an experiment, we've tried it. If we did it again, we'd do something different. In terms of traffic, most of our traffic is either from social media or direct. Search engine traffic is probably around the region about 20%. In terms of where our readership's from, about a quarter of it is from the States, and the rest of it is from the UK, and mostly Scotland, unsurprisingly.
Are you in Google News yet?
We're in Google News, yeah. Infuriatingly, we're called a blog in Google News, but we're trying to get that sorted.
So do you have an office now you've got advertising stuff?
Do we have an office? Yeah, we're based in Hanover Street. This is very picturesque.
Hi. It looks like your early figures, you've got 1 million page impressions and 500,000 users. It looks like a lot of people have come in through a particular story that you've got an exclusive or something. Are you building up a growing regular audience as well? And what sort of target have you set to get a X number of regular users per month or per week?
Our target is to have between 20 and 30,000 unique users per day by the end of the year. There will be spikes in our traffic because, like I said, we'll hit front page of Dig every now and then, and that'll bring in 15, 16,000 page views, and that skews the number of views per user.
I was interested that you said it was annoying that in Google News you were listed as a blog, and also that you were in the UK Newspaper Awards. You don't have any print product. You have no printing presses. Are you the living example that being a newspaper is a mindset?
There's 3 points. One, 2 of them are entirely spurious, but I'll give you them anyway. 1, everything we do is very professional. 2, we have an editing process. And 3, if you say you're a blog, you can kiss goodbye to a lot of advertising. Until the advertising market is ready to treat blogs in the same ways it treats newspapers, we're an online newspaper. And we've got enough cover to make that story fly.
Hi. Given that you said a lot of your contributions are based on goodwill, how sustainable do you think that is? And do you expect that at some point you're going to need to employ journalists full time? I think
basically the goodwill will last as long as we're able to give a decent amount of money to our journalists. They've all bought into the idea. They know the challenges we face. They know that if I'm getting paid, then they're going to get paid. Yes, further down the line, I suspect we will need to bring in sort of some kind of minimum payment and some kind of minimum guarantee of content from them. So we'll guarantee we'll pay you X a month, but you guarantee you give us X stories a month in return. Yes, I think we will have to move to that before the end of the year, probably. Any questions? Yes.
So was it relatively, practically nothing, just in terms of?
If you count my time, my business, there's 3 people in the business. It's me, I handle editorial, and the other 2 handle technical and sales. If you count our time as free, then there were virtually no costs whatsoever. And everything we wanted to do was about minimizing costs so that we could maximize payments to journalists and maximize our own income. So we have tried throughout the project to keep the costs minimal. So building something in WordPress is free. Luckily, we had the expertise in-house to help that happen. And the writing is paid for on a revenue share basis. And we are now having to look at some kind of cost, but the startup period, it was, our costs were virtually 0.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Oh.
Yeah, I just wondered what your main revenue streams are.